When Emily Parker stepped off the dusty Greyhound bus into the sleepy little town of Red Creek, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. The summer heat wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket, the scent of dry earth and wild sage filling the air as she adjusted the strap of her worn leather bag. She had come here looking for quiet, anything to escape the chaos of her city life and the heartbreak of a fiancé who had walked out 2 months before the wedding. She rented a small room above Miss Lila's diner, where she'd picked up shifts as a waitress, and her days quickly fell into a slow rhythm of pouring coffee, listening to local gossip, and watching the same faces wander in and out. But one afternoon, as the sun dipped low and turned the windows into sheets of gold, the door swung open to reveal a man unlike anyone she'd seen in Red Creek before. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and dusty from the road, his Stetson pulled low to shade his eyes, his denim shirt faded from years of wear. A leather saddlebag hung from one hand, and he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who belonged to no one and nothing. He slid onto a stool at the counter and ordered coffee in a deep, gravelly voice that sent an unexpected shiver down Emily's spine. She guessed him to be a drifter, one of those wandering cowboys who drift from ranch to ranch, chasing odd jobs and never staying long enough to leave a mark. He barely spoke, just watched her with eyes the color of storm clouds, as if weighing her against some unspoken standard. The locals didn't greet him, only exchanged curious glances, and she figured he wasn't from around here. Over the next week, he came in every day, always ordering the same thing, black coffee, eggs, and toast. They spoke in small fragments. Her asking where he was from, him shrugging and saying, a little bit of everywhere. But beneath his quiet exterior, she could sense something deeper, something worn and wounded. One evening, when she caught him staring out the window at the fading horizon, she asked what he was looking for. He didn't look at her, just said softly, "Haven't figured that out yet." She didn't know why, but she wanted to figure him out. She didn't notice how the town whispered about him, didn't notice the way certain ranchers stiffened when he passed, didn't notice the old pickup truck with dust-caked license plates that hinted he had been here before. The truth was, Emily was drawn to him, not in a reckless way, but like someone drawn to a song they'd never heard before yet somehow knew by heart. When a sudden summer storm broke one night, knocking out the diner's power, he stayed behind after the last customer left, helping her stack chairs by lantern light. In that glow, she saw something different in his face, a shadow of grief, a flicker of longing. She asked his name, and for the first time, he smiled. "Jack," he said simply. But that name would soon mean far more than she ever imagined. Wah. What Emily didn't know was that Jack wasn't a drifter at all. He was Jack Rowland, heir to the Rowland cattle empire, a man who owned more land than most people could cross in a lifetime. He had left it all behind years ago after losing the woman he loved in a tragic accident, vowing never to let his heart be a battlefield again. And now, as fate would have it, the girl pouring his coffee was about to awaken something in him he thought had died forever. Viewers, stick around, because the next chapter will reveal secrets deeper than Red Creek's roots, and you won't want to miss what happens when the drifter's past comes crashing into the present. If you're enjoying this story so far, hit that subscribe button so you can see how Emily's life tangles with Jack's in ways that will change them both forever. Chapter 2. The next morning, Emily found herself looking for Jack before she even realized it. The bell above the diner door jingled, and there he was, brushing rainwater from his hat, eyes locking on hers with a familiarity that startled her. He slid into his usual seat, but this time, he lingered after his meal, finally asking about her. She told him about the city, about how she left behind a life that had been falling apart, about the ring that never made it to her finger. Jack listened without interrupting, his gaze steady, as if he understood the kind of loss that hollows you out. Then, without warning, a black SUV rolled past the diner, its tinted windows lowering just enough for a man inside to glare at Jack before speeding off. Emily noticed Jack's jaw tighten, his hands curling into fists, but he said nothing. Later that day, she saw him outside the diner, speaking in low, tense tones to the town sheriff, who seemed more deferential than concerned. Her curiosity gnawed at her until, one evening, she followed him. Keeping her distance as he walked out past the edge of town toward the open plains. There, under the dying light of the sun, she saw it, a sprawling ranch stretching farther than the eye could see, herds of cattle grazing under the wide sky, and workers tipping their hats as Jack passed. The drifter was giving orders, checking fences, inspecting stock like a man who had done it all his life. She stepped out from behind a corral post, stunned. You own this? She asked. Jack froze, then sighed, tipping his hat back to meet her eyes. Own it, run it, and sometimes wish I didn't, he said. He told her everything, how the land had been in his family for generations, how he had loved a woman named Claire who died in a riding accident, how the grief had driven him away from the ranch and into the life of a wanderer. I haven't loved anyone since, he admitted, his voice low, because I don't know if I can survive losing them again. Emily's heart ached for him, but before she could speak, headlights swept over the pasture. The black SUV roared up, and a man stepped out, his expression twisted with arrogance. Time to sell, Roland. The stranger sneered. Your time's up. Emily watched Jack's face harden. Not while I'm breathing, he replied. The man spat in the dirt, got back in his car, and sped away, leaving dust in his wake. Jack turned to Emily. That's why I came back, he said. They've been trying to take this land, and I won't let them. Over the next weeks, Emily found herself helping on the ranch, learning to ride, mend fences, and move cattle. She saw the way Jack softened when he laughed, the way his eyes followed her when he thought she wasn't looking. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon in a blaze of orange and gold, he took her hand. You've done something no one else has, he said. You've made me want to stay. Her heart raced, but she smiled. Good, she said, because I'm not letting you drift away again. As they stood there, framed by the endless Texas sky, Emily realized she hadn't just found peace, she'd found love. And Jack, for the first time in years, felt the weight of his past lift, replaced by something fierce and alive. But this was only the beginning. If you want to see how Jack and Emily face the threat still coming for the ranch, and the love story that will fight to survive them, make sure you subscribe now, because the next chapter of their lives is going to be one you'll never forget.